Okay. So, good evening, everyone, and a warm welcome to everyone on this chilly weekend. I'm sure everyone is feeling really, really cold outside. The weather changing, like every 8 hours, 12 hours. We had a very sunny day yesterday, and today it's almost very cloudy, and probably night it's going to rain very badly. Yeah, I think that's Bangalore, and we'll go ahead with it. So I'm Dr. Srinivas. I'm a consultant pediatric emergency and pediatrics at Aster RV Hospital, JP Nagar. Is my voice audible?
Yeah.
Hi. Oh, fine.
Okay.
Okay. So I would request everyone else to mute. Sure, thank you. So I'm from Aster RV Hospital, JP Nagar. We have a good pediatric department there. I would like to just share a few words on why this. You might be seeing a child, a 17-year-old child there, a teacher, a parent, a doctor. Some might be confused what's happening here, and there is no PowerPoint here, right? You might be wondering what's happening. So let me tell you, we started with some health talks initially. We thought, okay, let's educate people on some common health topics related to children. But then we realized it's more, we are talking more, and then there might be a couple of questions. But then we realized there are so many health other stakeholders when we are talking about pediatrics or child health. Child himself, herself is a important stakeholder. A parent, a teacher, the child spends almost 50% at home, 50% at school. And then when the child is not well, comes the doctor, comes the pediatrician, right? So then we thought, okay, why not allow a child, why not allow a parent, a teacher to share their thoughts on any topic which we feel important. And then, yeah, doctor is always there to add on points. And then with this, we started this 2 months back. And then we did almost 4 to 5 sessions. And then we realized that we're learning so much from a child. When the child is speaking, expressing her thoughts and emotions on some topic, parent is expressing her his or her concerns and challenges, which we always usually ignore, right? And a teacher also expressing from a point of view of a teacher what happens at a school especially. So this was something we thought we should continue and take it forward and discuss important practical issues which are there. So we just came back from a short break, and then this week we are going to discuss about something very important, right? COVID. Yeah, COVID we has been discussing last 2 years, but then now the COVID vaccine has come. Most of the adults are getting vaccinated. The vaccine for children has been announced. It's going to come. I'm sure all adults have been, most of them are vaccinated, first dose, second dose. They have taken the vaccine. They have read so many WhatsApp forwards on side effect, this, that, this happens, first dose, second dose. Yeah, so many doubts. But now when the vaccine is coming for the children, just imagine all the doubts about this on the children. Will it be safe? What's going to happen, right? So that is the reason we have this topic today, right? And we have very good combination of all, as I explained, child, teacher, parent, and expert. So I would like each one of you to introduce yourself. We have Miss Pooja Shri. I would like her to introduce to the team, to the evening. Pujashri, yeah. You can unmute. You can unmute now.
Yeah.
Yeah, speak.
Good evening, everyone. I am Pooja from AEC's Magnolia Maruti Public School, and I'm currently doing my 12th grade, and I'm here to represent children below 18 years of age and speak on behalf of them. I would like to thank Aster RV Hospital for giving me this wonderful opportunity to voice out my opinions.
Great. So we have Mr. Santosh.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Yeah, I'm Santosh, and I work in a private software company. I am a parent of two kids, and one of my kids is studying in AECS school. Yeah, I would want to represent the parent community, obviously, with all these questions and clarifications around COVID. And thanks to Aster for giving this opportunity.
Okay,
Looking forward
great.
to this.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Santosh. Then we have our one more teacher, Mrs. Geeta. Can she unmute? I'm not able to see her. One second. Okay. Mrs. Geeta is available here. Okay, okay. I think I'm just 1 second. Yeah, I think she's about to join. Is this Pranavi is the name for Mrs. Geeta?
Yeah. Hello, sir. So Pranavi is the student for JSS Public.
Okay, okay. I think I was told. Okay, fine, it's fine. So I think we'll wait for her to come. So then I would like to introduce. A teacher is going to come in a short while. So I would like to introduce our expert pediatrician for the evening today. So he's Dr. Srinivas G. Kasi. We usually call him Kasi sir. And he's, let me tell you a brief about him. He's a very senior pediatrician and he is an expert on vaccination. You would have seen expert on heart, expert on lungs problem, neurologist, this that, but very few are like it's very rare to have someone who has expertise on vaccination, right? And he is a very busy pediatrician, practicing pediatrician in South Bangalore. And let me tell you, he is in the committee, what we call as ACVIP committee in our IAP. So this is the committee on vaccination who decides on when the new vaccines arrive, on what vaccines, how it goes, the schedule, the safety wise, whether to adopt and then take it forward like that. So in a way, Kashi sir and his team decides all the kids how many jabs they get in a way. So they release the guidelines to all the pediatricians across the country, and they even advise the government on various aspects of vaccination. So very important role, and especially now that the COVID vaccine is going to come down. Welcome, Kashi sir, to this unique event. A lot of questions, lot of parents, lot of children as well. I could see one 6th standard child logged in at 3:50 to hear the doubts, clarify from you. Yeah, I
Thank you.
think yes. So we have, I think we have our teacher also joining in. 1 second. Yeah, I think teacher, I'm just finding out from her. So I think just we'll start off. I'll ask her to join. So we saw this, the COVID vaccination. This is the topic which we're discussing now. Last year, just in 2019, 2000, in the initial part of 20, we saw the COVID started, which was something new for everyone. I would like to ask Pooja Shri, when the COVID was happening, I think all the schools went into lockdown, and then you were there at home. Or you will see all the different news in the school, news here and there about people dying, ICUs. Then suddenly, I think around July, August last year, the vaccine was announced, right? So what were your thoughts when you heard that okay, vaccine is coming? What did you feel? How did you feel about it? Just you can express yourself.
Okay, I would firstly want to admit that there have been numerous conversations between me and my friends about COVID-19 and this pandemic, and we always wonder when children will be getting vaccination shots. So, prior to this unprecedented pandemic, our weekends were sealed with travel plans, and now it's just minor outings, and it's for a very short period of time. And there's there's this uncertainty and there's this fear that we have been unvaccinated for a long time, and I carry this fear along with me to school all the way to my classroom, which is also 100% unvaccinated. So there is this huge list of activities that we are missing out on, such as having a direct interaction with our teacher, sports and coaching classes, to name a few. um, Initially, this felt endless because we have never seen such a pandemic before. We have only come to hear about it through our history textbooks. So, when I heard that people are getting vaccinated, I felt reassured that this pandemic is not permanent and we are approaching closer to the end of this pandemic. I felt reassured that things are going to get back to normal once again. And I think when with the arrival of the vaccine, a considerable amount of fear subsided. Yeah, that's all.
Okay, that's no really good to understand what as a child, no, and a child studying in a school is going through. We might be thinking that we know everything as doctors and experts. We are able to address everything, but that's good to know from your perspective. Now, I would like to ask Mr. Santosh, is the representing the parent fraternity. How did he feel?
Yeah, so definitely the moment we hear that the vaccines are kind of underway, right, about to reach us, it was definitely reassuring given what happened throughout the pandemic, seeing like and seeing all the ruckus everywhere due to this. Yeah, I think the news that the vaccine is coming, that was very reassuring because it felt at some point of time that no one could escape this because it was almost round near the nose, like it was near everyone. Everyone we know, everyone neighbors, everyone was getting. So it was a question of when, then whether or not we get it. That's how um, panic situation that we were going through. So the fact that the vaccine is coming was definitely reassuring. Yeah, and now that the kids also here, like things are coming, hopefully things get much more better.
Okay, that's really good to understand. So we have our teacher here. I would like to ask her to unmute and
Hello. Yeah,
introduce and
sir.
speak. Please, madam.
Yeah. Can you hear my voice, sir?
Yes,
Can you
yes,
hear me, sir?
yes.
Yes. Uh, Hi, everyone present in this virtual session. Myself, Geeta Srinivas, the Senior Coordinator from JSS Public School HSR Layout. I have been serving at this institution for the last 15 years, and it gives me immense joy to mention that it has given me a lot of learning opportunities through Career Connect, webinars, subject-related workshops, inter-school competitions, and many more. I have coordinated various schools and state-level competitions and exams, including NEET. For the work towards a greener environment, I have also been awarded as the best teacher coordinator at Schneider Electric Bangalore. My hobbies include gardening and cooking. During this COVID situation, with the transformation from in-person to virtual classes, I've also been on the learning end with the students, experimenting with different platforms like OLabs, Jamboards, PEAT, simulation labs in order to help students to participate actively in class and also to promote out of the box thinking. I'm always open to learning and would like to explore new opportunities. Yes. Now coming back to the question which was asked, that is, what was my initial thoughts when we heard about vaccination? Yes, I would like to tell few points. With almost a year at home, the arrival of vaccines did bring a relief, a feeling of much relief, especially after the sight of so much sufferings around the world. As a teacher, it did give me more joy as I could get back to school in person. But with the same question, if these vaccines were really that effective and safe for us, was my doubt and question. As vaccines may reduce the risk of infection, we were eagerly waiting and looking forward so that we can get back to work. Moreover, if vaccinated, we can contribute to mass wellness and help eradicate the virus. As we have already started with virtual classes, we had come across a lot of problems where children were not able to understand properly, internet facility problem, laptop problem where two kids were from the same house to go for online classes, then financial problem, lockdown, frustration, all this was going on. So as soon as we heard about vaccination, we had a high relief that something will be useful in the later days. As a teacher, I'm very proud to tell that the citizens of the country who have become scientists have found out vaccines to fight against coronavirus. Not only doctors and engineers, but also we teachers, true by my heart, I say, we have uplifted the and took care of the children who are the future citizens. So as you all know, empty mind is a devil's workshop. We had to counsel them, that is the children, to follow SMS, stay safe at home, and eat healthy foods and always be happy. Once the vaccines were announced, we were waiting to know to whom it will be given first, whether to kids or for the elderly people. Then later it was given to 45 plus, and then we realized that because the seniors should be healthy and because compared to elders, children are more immunity power. So every moment we were worried as to how to overcome this. Most of them were very scared due to lockdown. Most of them were homeless, died due to starvation, and most of us, we lost our dear ones and near ones. And most of us also lost jobs, and they have to overcome stress and all these things. So vaccination, as the word vaccine we heard, we were very much excited to know how it will go on. Now we are waiting, when will it open for our little kids? Because we have already started school at JSS, where 60% of the children are coming to school. Rest 40% parents are very scared to send their children to school. So hope so this will come to action very fast and we'll have a normal school days. Thank you.
Very good. Very good to hear, various thought process happening in different stakeholders. No, maybe I should ask Kashif sir also. Sir, as a pediatrician, during the COVID time, initially it was told vaccine will take a lot of time, and then vaccine was announced. As an expert in vaccination, as a pediatrician from the doctor community, what were your initial, like, one or two thoughts? Let's try to understand that as well.
Well, to begin with, I think as far as vaccines are concerned, we were all used to vaccines which took 5 years, 10 years to develop. And at the end of the developmental process, we were very sure how well the vaccine is going to work and how safe the vaccines are. Take any vaccines that you're giving, BCG or your DPT or your MMR, chickenpox, etc. But here was a situation where we did not have the luxury of time. We had to, cobble up things in a hurry. So the entire developmental process, which usually takes 5 to 7 years, was compressed. Usually when you, in the clinical development of a vaccine, you have different phases. One phase follows the other. But what was different in the COVID vaccines is everything went parallel to each other. And in fact, even before the efficacy of the vaccine was proven, the companies started establishing the manufacturing process. So by the time you got the data, yes, the vaccine is working, within a very short time, the production could begin and it could be rolled out in the community. Yes, this may raise some issues. We don't have long-term data. We do not know how safe the vaccines will be, especially for children. But believe me, whatever adverse effects were noted in the studies during the development of the vaccine, nothing really new has occurred now. It's almost a year since vaccines first came internationally and around 9 months that has come in India. And there has been a very, very robust surveillance mechanism to look at what are the adverse effects of the vaccine. And this surveillance mechanism has now given us a definite idea of what is the risk of a certain, like say, a vaccine which is being used in USA, which is a messenger RNA vaccine, has an adverse effect of affecting the heart, a myocarditis. We also know that it's a condition which is very mild and doesn't require any treatment and resolves spontaneously. That has given us a lot of confidence. So as far as adults are concerned, now we know that these vaccines are safe. So the issue comes is, can we assume that the same safety is there in children? I think if the vaccine is safe for an adult, there is no reason why it should not be safe for children. And I'm very happy to note from all the three speakers, a sort of a very, very good enthusiasm and eagerness to receive this vaccine whenever it comes and see that the children are vaccinated. I would also like to caution, vaccine is not the end all of the pandemic. Vaccines may work, may not work too well, may work today, may not work 6 months down the line. When you have a new variant, our COVID appropriate behavior can never be dispensed with. And if you have noticed in the recent newspapers today, yesterday, there are been clusters of cases, and all these clusters are associated with social events where people have gathered together. And believe me, even in the doctors' conferences now, the mask is given a go by. You see, if someone wants to have a photograph, the photograph says remove your mask, and then everyone removes the mask. This will not do. We got to continue with COVID appropriate behavior. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I think it's quite interesting to know points of view for a single vaccine, creating so many thought process in different stakeholders. Yes. So now let me. I think that this were our initial thoughts, right? When we heard about the vaccine. Now maybe like vaccine has come almost like everyone is seeing the vaccine has been given elderly, then the middle age, now almost above 18 years. Now they are seen in their families, right? Maybe Pujashri, can you do you have any questions on like no your top three questions on top of from top of your mind? You can see expert is there. You can ask them if you have whatever doubts you have. I think at the end of the session, everyone, so each of the child, parent, teacher, and all the people here should go away with a clear mind on vaccination, how safe it is, can be given, and all the information which our expert is going to share. Pooja, you can just ask your top questions which are really bothering you to make sure that it's clarified in your mind.
I have come to hear that children above 4 years of age have been vaccinated in many other countries. Why hasn't it been implemented in India yet?
Okay. Just to set the record right, it is 5 and above. Okay. Except for countries like Cuba, China, where we really do not know anything about the scientific data, where they're immunizing children as young as 2. Cuba is immunizing children as young as 2 years. China has started from 3 years onwards. But many of the Western countries, specifically USA and Israel and some of the Middle Eastern countries, have started immunizing children from the age of 5 years onwards with one specific vaccine, that is the mRNA vaccine of Pfizer, which is the only one which has received emergency use authorization for children above the age of 5 years. Now, coming to why India has not introduced it, you must remember that in a situation like this, where we don't have unlimited supplies of the vaccine usage has to be prioritized. Who is going to suffer most from COVID? Who is going to suffer less from COVID? And that is what is going to decide who is going to get the vaccine first. And based on that, the rollout occurred in our country, which you are familiar with. Healthline workers, health care workers, frontline workers who are exposed to very large viral loads. And if they become sick, the healthcare system can collapse. So they were given the first priority. Then came people above 65 years, people above 45 years who had other medical conditions, and then everyone in the 18 plus population. Even today, India has not still completed its adult immunization program. You see, we still are quite short. I mean, our double dose vaccination is still around 28 to 32%, not more than that. We got to reach at least around 90% before we can say that, yes, we are quite happy with the work we are doing. Okay. The second thing is we need to think beyond our country, because if COVID is there anywhere in the world, no one is safe. Even if it's in a remote area of Africa, the well entrenched person in USA also is not safe, because this COVID can just, break barriers and go from place to another. So today, less than 2% of the population in Africa has received their vaccine because they just can't afford the vaccines that are there. Our country, we are fortunate. We have vaccines which have been researched in our own country. And where we are supplying the vaccine to others. So in this situation, is it right to give the vaccine to a child whom we know that are not at very big risk for any sort of serious illness, hospitalization due to COVID? See, all these thought processes have come into play. So although the Covaxin has received approval from the SEC committee, it has still not received DCJ approval. And after announcing it, the government is rather silent now. And they will say that that they have said that they're not in a hurry to introduce it to children, because you got to take a very altruistic, stand on these issues. All adults have to be immunized. The poorest of the poor in the poorest countries have to be immunized, and then it will come to children. I think there has been a spurge of what is known as vaccine nationalism. You see, country like USA has got enough vaccines to immunize the whole population twice over. You see, whereas that same vaccines is not being released to countries where people are dying left, right, and center because of COVID. So all these things are going to be taken into consideration before we decide whether that children will get the vaccine or no. And here I just want to make a remark that it is not correct to link vaccination with school reopening. I know this is a different topic, but there's just one statement I want to make. Thank you.
Okay, good, sir. I think that the statement has a lot of value, and I think will be clarified, especially for the teachers fraternity and parents fraternity here. We'll come to that later. So maybe I can go on to our parent, Santosh. What is the top first number one question in your mind, which you think you want to clarify for you and all the parents here?
Santosh
Yeah.
is muted. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I think it was kind of a follow-up of what you mentioned, sir. So we see that history, thankfully, with God's grace, even the first 2 years that the country has got, the kids were not really impacted to a huge extent. Maybe we never knew if they got impacted or not. At least there was no noticeable impact. So, and given that, as you mentioned, it's kind of a compressed, rushed vaccine, like it's just an emergency use approval that we got even for the adults. So do you really think it has to be rushed on the kids? Because it may have adverse side, as you said, it was not read for a long term, like a 5 or 7 years, like be good, the chicken pox or other vaccines. So do you really think like it has to be passed and given more thought before giving it to kids, or do you think it's more important to get them administered as soon as we get those tested quickly?
Okay. Now, I think part of the answer to your question have already stated in my response to our Pujashree's question. Yes, the vaccine has been rushed, but we must remember that these platforms, I'm not of this, say, Covishield, which is a vector vaccine, or the mRNA vaccine, these are not new. These platforms have been in investigative process for many other illnesses like, say, HIV, tuberculosis, malaria, for almost the past 25 to 30 years. So we have got robust safety data about these vaccines. It's not that just a new technology and we have dumping it on everyone. So I think that is one thing we got to really keep in mind, that these vaccines have got a reasonably good record of safety over a prolonged time usage in experimental conditions, not in clinical rollout in the population. Now, the second question is that are we going to experiment on children? Now, as I said, generally the immune system of children is much more robust than the immune system of adults. Okay, they respond to vaccines much better. So if the vaccines have worked, say, X% in adults, in a child it may be 2x or 3x also, because the immune system is much more robust. So I don't think there should be any doubt about the efficacy of these vaccines in children, how well they are going to work. The next question is regarding the safety. Now, whenever we look at safety of vaccines, we look at very common. See, a vaccine study will have, say, a population of 5,000 or 10,000 or 20,000, and they are powered to examine only side effects which occur in a certain frequency. Now, a side effect which occurs, say, in 100,000 vaccinees cannot be detected in a study which has a subject cohort of just, say, 500 or even 5,000. So those can come into picture or can be realized only when it is rolled out in the community. Now, what I can say is that right now, as far as one particular vaccine, Covaxin, is concerned, it is a inactivated vaccine. It's a platform which is, I think, more than 100 years old. Almost many of the vaccines like, say, DPT and many other vaccines are based on this platform. So I don't think there should be any concerns about the safety of this vaccine. Now, even if you take a vaccine like Covishield, Covishield is not going to come for children. So let's forget about that. For certain reasons, Covishield is never going to be used in children. But there's another vaccine which will be in use in children in India, and that is what is known as the Novavax, which is again being produced by Serum Institute. Even that is a subunit vaccine. It is something like our hepatitis B vaccine, which has a proven record of safety. So I don't think we should be unduly worried about the adverse effect of these vaccines in children. As I told you again, it will all depend upon how much we feel children need the vaccine. You see, now so far in the first wave in our country, believe me, Dr. Gunda Srinivas also will vouch for this with COVID. Okay,
Yes.
studies have shown that somewhere about 8 to 10% of the COVID afflicted were children. Now, what happened in the second wave? It was the same 8 to 10%, but the first wave was 98,000 peak, where the second wave was 4.15 lakh peak. So we started seeing a lot of children. We started seeing a lot more of hospitalizations and ICU care, ventilations, etc. Now, if we get another wave, like what you're reading, that Botswana variant, if that really comes and becomes established all over the world, we may see something even worse than the third wave. So we have got to protect our children. But again, as I am again repeating, not at the cost of someone else who needs the vaccine more. Right? That's it.
Hmm. I think that's a very important question and very important answers. Good number of answers for there. I'll anyway summarize at the end. Now, maybe let's ask our teacher, Mrs. Geeta. So, what are the most important question in your mind bothering, right? You told about many other things like vaccine came, you were happy, at the same time you were worried. You mentioned about the recent some outbreak happening in Bangalore. So now, what's the first question you want to clarify?
I think she is muted.
Yeah, I think she has to unmute. You can unmute, madam, now. Just click OK.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fine. So my question is, does vaccination allow mask-free situation as students would find it hard to wear them for a longer period during class or during their play? That is my question.
Madam, a vaccine will not, render the use of a COVID appropriate behavior irrelevant. You need both. As I said, these are not perfect vaccines. The virus is smarter than us. It's always one step ahead of humanity. So even with the vaccines, we got to have COVID appropriate behavior. So children have to wear masks, children have to sanitize, children have to maintain social distancing as far as possible.
SMS has to be
It
followed.
is
That's
necessary. You cannot dispense with it.
okay, fine. Sir.
Oh,
Okay.
I think that's a very important message. Maybe many
Yeah.
parents or many others have had this doubt. So COVID appropriate behavior is not going to go away unless the last virus leaves the Earth planet Earth, right?
Probably
That's the thing.
humans will live earlier than that, I think.
Maybe. Okay. So now I think everyone has some other question. Maybe let's take one question from the audience just to see like what they're also thinking, right? So there is one question on Mr. Kunal Adur. Even after so many people and kids getting vaccine, why are the numbers going up in European, UK, and US? Right. I think this is one very important concern we all have. We sir can answer.
Okay. Now, yes, there is a surge of cases in US, UK, European countries. Believe me, if you take the example of USA, most of the surge has occurred in the southern states, the Republican state, Trump states. Where there is a very high degree of vaccine hesitancy. Okay. Now, US is one of the first countries who have introduced the COVID vaccine in adolescents. And studies over the past, sometime in July, I think it was introduced, and between July and September, they have studied. An unvaccinated adolescent has more than 10 times the risk of getting COVID compared to a vaccinated adolescent. So a vaccine will not prevent a simple, uncomplicated COVID infection. It may not prevent you from getting COVID, a cough, cold, and like any other illness, you recover in 3 to 4 days. Very rarely it may reach a stage where you got to take some medications and monitor yourself. But essentially, COVID vaccines are very effective in preventing severe COVID, hospitalization, ICU care, ventilation, and death due to COVID. Okay. Now, in countries like USA and all that, they are basically looking at an end point of preventing all COVID. That's why they are, in a hurry to vaccinate the entire population, whereas priority in our country is slightly different. So from that point of view, I think we need to prioritize and give the vaccines. And I think that's all about this particular question.
Okay, I think good. So maybe we'll
So
come
it's
to
basically vaccine hesitancy and not the failure of the vaccine.
I think that's very important. Everyone has to, I think, keep in mind vaccine hesitancy is basically they don't want to take vaccine because of the misinformation or wrong facts they got and thinking, reading in Google, all those things. That is one very important thing we have to keep in mind. Maybe I'll just come back to Pujashri again. I'm sure everyone has many other questions. Pujashri, what is another important question running in your mind? We had to clarify
We
it.
know
Tell
that
me.
the level of immunity varies from person to person, even in adults. So, will the number of doses increase accordingly?
No, number of doses. See, immunity varies, generally not. If you are a healthy person, almost the entire cohort of healthy persons will respond to a vaccine in almost a similar manner. But a vaccine which works in a particular way in USA may not work so well in a tropical country or a low middle income country like India. But person to person variation is very uncommon. So based on that, many vaccines, especially the ones which cause a little more adverse effects in adults, the dose is reduced in children. For example, if you're aware of the Moderna vaccine, which is the mRNA vaccine in USA, the dose given to children, which they are studying, is half the dose that they're giving to adults. Even the booster that they're giving is half the dose because they are more reactogenic. Now, as far as Covaxin, let's come to what we are going to have. The dose is the same from the age of 2 years onwards. I've used a dose of 6 microgram per dose. And that dose is the same for the 2-year-old child, and it's the same for an adult who's 80 years also. There is no, but there are other vaccines where the doses may vary.
Okay. I think that's good information. I think you clarified your doubt, Pujashri. Yeah. You can ask any other question you want to ask. I thought the top 3 questions maybe you spoke to. So any other important question?
I wanted to know if there's any other safer medical intervention other than vaccines that we can probably wait for.
Yes, many new things are coming up. Monoclonal antibodies, new drugs. You must have read one drug called Molnupiravir, which has just entered the market and is supposed to do work exceedingly well, especially given the first 3 to 4 days of illness. But like a vaccine, the effect of these drugs also depend upon the virus. If the virus mutates enough, many of these medicines may not work. The virus may develop mechanisms to bypass the mode of action of these drugs, so the drugs don't work too well. So newer drugs, newer vaccines, they have to go hand in hand. They are complementary to each other and they are not exclusive of each other.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. I think maybe I'll come back to our parent lead here. So Santosh. So do you have any other questions? I think definitely it'll be there. So I think please clarify all your questions. You can unmute now. Not able to unmute.
Unmute, please.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So like as you said, now the new mutants keep coming, right? Like we recently read about the variant that was identified in South Africa, Hong Kong, etc. So and you also mentioned that even if you're getting the vaccines, the COVID appropriate behavior has to continue. So when does ideally we can say the cycle will end? Like you'd have read about multiple pandemics in the past. When can we say that this COVID will become like a normal flu?
Ultimately, everyone hopes that it'll become like a normal flu because this virus is not going to go away. You see, you just take the example of influenza virus. pandemics from the past 450 years, the last pandemic was more than a year old. It killed over 50 million people internationally all over the world. But even today, the virus is there. And we had a pandemic as recent as 2009-10. So we cannot wish away this virus. We can only hope that it becomes endemic. It will become endemic when there is enough of population level immunity so the virus cannot go unchecked, cannot multiply unchecked. And you must also remember a virus doesn't want to kill itself. It wants to live for a long time. And it can live for a long time only if it has susceptible hosts. If it goes on killing everyone, there will be no one to infect and the virus will die a natural death. That is why when you look at these mutations, the mutations will be more and more severe till a certain stage, and then the mutations will become less and less severe. So some sort of peaceful coexistence between the virus and a human being. Ultimately, that is what is going to happen. Now, after the Delta surge, which occurred in India a couple of months back, we thought that we have seen the worst. And especially the fact that the surge came down and almost for now, it's more than 2.5 to 3 months, we have not had any surges after that. We thought that the endemic state has almost been reached. But now with this new virus, that Botswana virus, which seems to be spreading very rapidly, if we can retard the entry of that virus into our country, then probably that endemic phase will continue. So you will have a low level of infections with occasional peaks. You may need to take a COVID vaccine periodically. If the efficacy of the vaccine lasts for maybe 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, maybe every 2 years or 3 years, you may need to take the vaccine. If not the entire population, at least those who are at high risk for complication of the disease may need to take the vaccine, like influenza vaccine. All adults are not taking it, but adults with diabetes, hypertension, asthma, lung disease, they take it every year. So we may reach that situation, but I think we are still some time away from that particular situation.
Okay, okay, fine. I think let's ask, I think from a teacher's point of view, or teacher, teacher Geeta ji, are you able to, I'm not able to see her.
I think it's a dark.
I think she dropped her and Mrs. Geeta, you are there? Fine. I think we'll take one more question from Mr. Santosh till I get her back. Any other question you have?
Yeah, maybe kind of a follow-up question on this is there were some messages around saying like for the kids, the regular flu vaccines that we give yearly, they may give some a kind of a protection from COVID also. So is it by any chance true or anything close to true? Should we do, because ideally I don't give that yearly flu vaccine to my son, but if at all it's going to be of some help, I wouldn't mind doing it. So that was the one other thing that I had in mind.
Okay. I think, see, before COVID vaccines came into usage, we were very interested in knowing whether there are any other vaccines which in a non-specific manner can ameliorate to some extent the effect of COVID. What was noticed is that COVID was less severe in the low and middle income countries. See, children in low and middle income countries receive BCG, they receive the oral rotavirus polio vaccine, they receive the rotavirus, and all these seem to stimulate the immune system in a very non-specific manner. And because of that, probably in that immunity, even effect against COVID is also included. Okay, that was the belief. Now the same holds true for flu. Now, when you want to prove whether a vaccine is effective against a particular illness, you got to give the vaccine to one cohort. You should not give the vaccine to another cohort. All of them should be matched in all aspects, demographic access. And then you see what is the effect of that vaccine versus no vaccine. See, such studies have not been done for flu vaccine or for that matter, any other vaccine, because by the time people started think about this, already the COVID vaccine came. Okay. Now, why is there so much hue and cry about giving flu vaccine? Mainly for the reason that when you have two viral infections occurring at the same time, your body may find it a little difficult to handle both the infections. Okay. The second thing is influenza, that is flu and COVID, In the first 3 to 4 days, you cannot differentiate each other. Okay. So if you give the flu vaccine and to a reasonably good extent prevent flu illness, in that case, your health seeking behavior for viral infection of the respiratory tract will come down to some extent. If you don't take the vaccine, every time you get a cough and cold, you have to rush to get your COVID test done. That situation can be avoided. This is the main reason why flu vaccine is being pushed. Believe me, there is no scientific data to show that flu vaccine prevents COVID or reduces COVID severity in any way. In the literature, there are many case reports, but all of them are what are known as observational studies, which have a lot of biases. What we need are randomized control studies to have a very high level of data to prove a particular concept, but such studies are non-existent. So flu vaccine is for flu vaccine is not for COVID.
Okay, good. Good. I think that was a very common doubt among many parents. Hope it was cleared. Let me ask our teacher,
Yes.
Geeta ji, like what is the next thing in your mind? Now schools have started and then government has told, okay, let the children come in. What's your next concern regarding from the school point of view?
Yeah, we have started the school and 60% of the children are coming. The rest 40% are not coming. So they're still in a fear that how to send the kids. So my next question is, does the vaccine have side effects like body pain, fever, as in adults had, and other side effects with the components of other regular vaccines, which is taken at the age of 14, students would take during their growth?
Right. Now, these vaccines, now whatever vaccines have been used or are authorized for use in children or are being used in children, what they have done is they have compared the antibody levels and the adverse effects profile versus a little older population. For example, the Bharat Biotech vaccine has taken 3 groups, 2 to 5, 6 to 11, 11 to 17 years, and they have compared its immunogenicity, that the capability to produce antibodies and its adverse effects as compared to the adults. What they have shown is that yes, they do cause adverse effects and they are in no way worse than what it is occurring in adults. So you can expect fever, you can expect local pain, okay, you can expect some fussiness for a day or two after the vaccine. But apart from that, I don't think anything more is going to be seen. And this occurs with any vaccine. You take your DPT vaccine at 1.5, 2.5 months, all these things are there. You take a tetanus shot for an injury, you get a hand, you get that local pain for a couple of days. It's going to be like that.
I think good. I think that there are a lot of questions about will pain be there, because everyone has seen the adults having side effects, some giddiness or pain, body pains, fever.
Yes.
I think it's expected, just like any other vaccine we have. I think that's one important information. I would like to ask teacher any other questions she has before
Yes,
we
sir,
move on to audience questions.
Yes, myself, Geeta, I'm just have one more question. What are the various precautions the school needs to take for the safety of the students post-vaccination in order to prevent the infection? And at the same time, we have heard about the recent news of the spread of the coronavirus in the Whitefield school and in the Harvard Medical College. That has made the parents still more scary. So the this thing percentage of children have dropped down since 2-3 days again. It is making that this one.
Okay.
So what would be your this thing, sir? Answer?
I got your question. Yeah. Anything more? Yeah. You need to have. You want to add anything?
No, that's it.
Okay.
That's
Fine.
it.
Now, as far as a vaccinated child is concerned, per se, as far as administration of the vaccine is concerned, I don't think anything more. The child may get a little fever, a little local pain, as we just discussed, which needs to be managed. And anyway, whoever gives the vaccine will be advising regarding what is to be done with these common adverse effects. And as I said before, even a vaccinated child has to observe COVID appropriate behavior. There is no escaping from this fact. The schools have to insist vaccination does not make you immune. You are still susceptible to COVID, because the vaccines that we have, like say Covaxin, which will be used in children, the first vaccine, efficacy against, any COVID is about 78. That means if 100, adults take that vaccine, 22 may still develop COVID, but it will be a mild COVID. So all COVID appropriate behavior has to be followed. There is no doubt. And as far as other precautions, I think enough guidelines have been published from the central government, from the Karnataka SOPs regarding school reopening. All of these are very, very well thought out, guidances that have been made just to see that the spread of the virus within the school is minimized. The risk of acquiring COVID is minimized in the school. I don't think there's a forum to discuss that in details, but the schools have to follow that protocols which the government demands of schools when they are reopened. Now, regarding the Whitefield incident, it is again a reminder of the fact that COVID is still there, it's not gone. Okay. If you have a cluster of people meeting without COVID appropriate behavior, COVID is going to raise its head again. And we must remember children are not vaccinated, but if everyone around them is vaccinated, the chance of the child getting the infection is very, very uncommon. Now, if the school bus driver is vaccinated, if the IA is vaccinated, the teachers, principals, assistant teachers are all vaccinated, if all the household members are vaccinated and are protected against illness, there's very little chance that the child is going to get the. And even if a child gets it, 70% are not going to develop any symptoms, and 1.5% may go to a hospital. Okay, 98.5 will just be treated at home. That's all.
Okay, I think that's very important information.
Yes,
Sir
sir.
mentioned one no, point 1.5%. If you see, there are many other illnesses, right? So it might be dengue or it might be other illnesses where the children might need hospitalization and hospital care more than this percentage, right? So I think you have to, I think all parents need to understand that the percentage, the volume, sheer volume is high. That's why the absolute numbers might be more. But when you come to the percentage wise, it is almost like any other illnesses or maybe even better than that, isn't it, sir? What is the take on that, sir?
Sorry, will you just
Yeah,
repeat it?
compared to other illnesses, when you compare the
Yeah,
other
I think
illnesses
it's a, yes, it's a very apt statement. In fact, a recent publication compared the incidence of hospitalization and death due to things like chickenpox, rotavirus vaccines, rotavirus illness, etc. And they found that the risks are much higher with those infections compared to COVID as of today. So I think if we are accepting vaccines for those illnesses, there's no reason why we should not accept vaccines for COVID. Again, the caveat is, of course, those vaccines went through a normal developmental process of 8 to 10 years. Or here it's only 1 or 2 years. But here the rollout and the usage has been so massive, and the surveillance, especially in the developed countries, has been so good that if there was any other adverse effects, it would have been picked up very soon.
I think good. So I think our most of the questions have looks like answered. Now let me take some questions from audience. I think like various different types of questions are there. Pranavi is asking, hello Kashi sir, schools are pushing for 100% occupancy for children. How safe do you think that this is at this point of time?
See, see, for a normal, healthy child, if all the household members are immunized, there is no reason why this child should not go to school. Because if you look at what the child has lost in the last 1.5 years, it's not just that the child has not learned history, geography, maths, or science. The social interaction skills, you see, many other what we call as non-formal achievements or targets which the child has, all these things have been given a go by. On the other hand, this loss of schooling, loss of interaction, loss of contact with peers have given rise to tremendous psychological problems. They say almost a third of children have some sort of either anxiety or depression or irritability, etc. And believe me, the burden of this is more than the risk of COVID-19. Okay, and that in fact is one of the main reasons why there's a push to reopen schools. And once the community level of transmission becomes very low, like it is in our country now, as of now, even the government has put, test positivity rate should be less than 5%, etc. The chance of getting COVID when you go to school is very, very minimal. So that's the risk one has to take to get much more benefits which is associated with schooling. And so I think from that point of view, resuming schooling is a very, very good idea in the present situation. Okay. Now, of course, it has to be left to the choice of the parents. You see, if they are very particular, they just don't want to take an risk, I think the compulsion should not be there. I think the school should offer both online and offline to cater to everyone.
I think that's a very important message for the schools and parents here. So there is one parent, I think Rupa is asking, is mRNA vaccine safe in general and in children in particular?
In fact, that's the only vaccine which has got extensive studies in children. Now, if you see in the 5 to 11-year-old age group, the Pfizer vaccine was studied in about 4,800 children, whereas our Covaxin, the entire cohort was only 575 children. So the studies have been much larger. It has its own adverse effects. mRNA vaccine has that incidence of myocarditis, which I told you, but they know and they will educate the people. Every child or adolescent who receives an mRNA vaccine, the parents are told if the child has chest pain, some sort of chest discomfort, come to us immediately. They investigate and they have found out almost all of them resolve spontaneously with just some painkillers. They don't need hospitalizations also. So from that point of view, mRNA vaccines have the maximum safety data and maximum clinical usage.
Yeah, good. I think we have a couple of parents asking about the role of this immunity boosters. So apart from the vaccine, medication is over. Immunity booster, natural immunity booster, anything is something like that really there? There's a common question even
The
many
best
parents.
immunity boosters are a healthy diet, a healthy mind, good social activities, good sports is what are good immunity boosters. Medically, from the allopathy point of view, I don't think there is anything. Well, if you're deficient in iron, you take an iron syrup. That's an immunity booster. If you're deficient in zinc, you take zinc. If you're deficient in vitamin C, you take vitamin C. But if you have enough of everything, there's no idea in overloading it with those medications. I don't want to talk anything about the other systems of medicine.
Yes, I think that's a clear message that there is nothing like immunity booster. Just maintain a good health and diet. That's what's going to help. There are a couple of questions asking about what dose it will be given, what is the age group it will going to start, and how many doses. I think a couple of parents have seen.
Yeah,
Maybe you can
see, and
clarify.
now as far as the dose is concerned, it will depend upon individual vaccines. As I said, the mRNA vaccines, the dose is less in children, whereas the Covaxin, the dose is the same. There is no data about the other vaccines. Like example, there's one by Biologically Evans called Corbevax. There's a Covovax by Serum Institute. I mean, there is no data about whether they are going to do what is known as dosing studies. In this final study, there's going to be two parts. Part one is where they will give different doses to children and see which elicits the best response with the least adverse effect. And that dose will be chosen for further studies. So those have still not been done in these particular vaccines. But I do expect for things like many of the subunit vaccines, the dose may be lower because even if you take hepatitis B, the dose for adults is less than that for children. You see, so maybe they may, but I cannot give any definite answer because there is just no data about these things. Right.
Correct. Yes. I think we have answered almost all the doubts. Many other parents have asked similar doubts, which I already discussed. Maybe Pujashri, you have anything to ask before we'll just wind up?
There's an interesting question here. Does prolonged hours of usage of mask has any adverse effects?
Yes,
Yeah, I think this is something that is asked very often.
correct.
Now, see, most of the masks used by the general public are not N95 masks. Either you use a surgical mask or you use a double layered cloth mask. There is no problem with prolonged usage. Okay, problems with N95 mask when you use for prolonged periods is because those masks are so tight, it can cause some pressure sores on your face. It does not decrease your oxygen levels in your blood if you use prolonged mask, but there are a lot of psychological issues. You feel tired and you get headaches and all these things, but that's, I think, more psychological rather than a true physical cause for those illnesses. So in general, no. When I say prolonged use, wow, 6 hours of schooling, 6 hours. Medical personnel use it for 12 hours, 14 hours, 16 hours a day. So I don't think it should be an issue for children at all.
I think one question, can children who have allergic issues take a vaccine?
All allergic children can take vaccines as long as they do not have allergies to specific components of that particular vaccine. So if your child has allergies and if you know what they are allergic to, you should read the product insert of a particular vaccine, which is available freely on the net, and see that the child does not have any proven allergies. If this amount of knowledge is not there, the best is go to a place where all resuscitation facilities, emergency measures are available, like say Aster RV Hospital. Take your vaccine over there that in the event of some inadvertent effect occurring, it can be managed immediately.
Okay, good. So there is one question, like I think common again. I think one of the student is asking, sir, how will we know whether we have COVID or a cold? I think many.
You have to get your RT-PCR, otherwise there's no way you can know it.
Correct. Yes. Fine. Okay. So one Jayashri is asking, Doctor, my child will be 18 in a couple of months. Should I wait for the kids vaccine or go for adult vaccine once she reaches 18?
See, if you see the recruitment, the registration process, anyone who is in their 18th year can get registered. You need not have completed your 18 years. And believe me, adolescents are at greater risk of COVID compared to the younger children. Adolescents transmit COVID to others more efficiently than younger children. So I think if you get a chance, take off the vaccine.
I think that's a very important message. You need not wait for the 18 to be completed. It's almost as safe as that one can take. One last question we'll take. I think what type of mask should we use for children? N95 or layered cloth mask?
Layered cloth mask, no doubt about it. Because if you use an N95 mask first, you don't get the proper size. And if the size is not proper, that mask is useless. Okay, so it has to be a double layered cloth mask, which you can tailor made for your individual child so the mask fits well.
Okay, good. I think we're almost nearing the end of our session, almost 1 hour. I can see we had almost 100 parents logged in. It's a wonderful thing. Maybe I would like to ask, ask Kashi sir, like if you have to give one important message at the end, what would be that to all of the parents and teachers here?
When the vaccines are released, please take it. Do not listen to rumors or WhatsApp messages about the vaccines. Go by medical advice. And again, I'm emphasizing again and again, COVID appropriate behavior is a must even if you vaccinate your children. That's it.
I think that's the whole summary of it. He has explained the safety, the way it has been done. I think one thing we have to remember is like, yeah, sir mentioned that the vaccine process was fastened. But now with the advent of technology, we should not think it of as something has been skipped, right? For example, like car goes faster than the previous generation cars. It does not mean that it does not have safety features. It has even more safety features, for example, right? So a Tesla car going at a very fast speed or a racing car, it has even more safety features. So I think we have to get the scientific information, whatever is available, time and again it's given from a reliable sources. That's very important. Do not listen to WhatsApp rumors or rumors in some news channels. Always get back to your doctor, get back to pediatrician, right? There might be many sessions happening like this from many hospitals. Once the vaccination comes, please do attend directly, interact with doctors and get the doubts clarified. And one more thing is make sure all the adults are vaccinated. I think one important message what Kashi sir given is all the people, adults around the children, right? It can be in the home, all the adults at home, all the people, staff in the school. Priority is to just make sure that they get vaccinated as soon as possible. There is no dearth of vaccines currently, so all the adults can get vaccinated as soon as possible so that they all make a circle of protection around our children, right? That's one thing. And one point maybe I would like to add, I recently, like yesterday I was hearing there are more like 1 lakh marriages have been booked, it seems. I just got to overheard somewhere, I know 1 lakh or whatever, even though it is like people are trying to come out, all the backlog of events has been happening, people are gathering everywhere. just imagine, even unfortunately, touch wood should not happen, but some person from somewhere, some foreign country where it's circulating comes up, lands there, and just imagine the spread. So make sure you attend any, again, think that there is a kind of lockdown there. If it is essential, you attend some events, especially gatherings, social gatherings or crowds. Yeah, otherwise you can go out and do a normal stuff, maintaining social distances. I think COVID appropriate behavior is here to stay. That is one very important message of this. Even after vaccine for adults or children, it comes, or all the children vaccinated, unless that last virus gets out of this planet, we are not going to stop our COVID appropriate behavior. The mask, the hand sanitization, and the social distancing, right? This is very, very important. I think other two messages what Kashish sir has given is vaccine is safe, right? So the safety only when it will be announced, especially in from the clearance will be given, and it will be implemented, and it will be given by the doctors to the children only when it is safe. Do not worry about the safety of it. Yes, the having fever, having pain is not, it does not mean that the vaccine is unsafe. You have to understand that those are all expected side effects, just like any other vaccine, right? And definitely there will be surveillance, there will be kind of monitoring will be there. You always have to be in touch with the doctor to tell what's different your child is behaving or feeling, and then give feedback. That will always help. And coming to the school point of view, right? So schools, whatever they are open, they can open from the what government guidelines we have, but make sure the schools follow all the code appropriate behavior, right? If you feel that the parents are anxious about sending their child, then do not force them. Yes, they are anxious, they have to respect their whatever choice, and then give them option of online, offline, and make sure, but not at the cost of maintaining the social distancing, right? You have to maintain the distancing whatever is needed. You have to make sure the children follow the mask behavior, even the as young also. If they're not able to follow, I think you can always give them option of online, right? So I think from a student point of view, I think they should not worry much, because when the vaccine comes, it will be like any other vaccine they have taken till now, right? It will be the kind of maybe very similar side effect which they should not worry about. But when they, after taking vaccine, they have to make sure they're mingling with their friends, going to the friends places, maintain that some distance, the mask, and make sure that when you're not well, immediately inform your teachers and parents, and take care of that, right? I think we almost 1 hour of discussion on COVID-19 vaccination. I know that there might be many other doubts. We'll be having a couple of sessions like this, having a child, having a teacher, having a parent on all child-centric vaccines. There might be many other topics. We'll come up on those. So that we also learn a lot as doctors. We also learn a lot from viewpoints of teachers, parents, and students. I think I thank one and all. I thank Kashi sir for sparing 1 hour of valuable time on a weekend to enlighten all the teachers, parents here. I think we all be in touch with you for further sessions like this.
Sure.
Thank you one and all. Thank you Kashi sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you Mr. Santosh. Thank you Pooja Shri, and thank you
Thank you.
Geeta madam. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Thank you
Thank
Mayur.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.